let's stop the fake applause.
I'm excited to be here. The playoffs are here, Craig. The playoffs are here, Craig.
Playoffs.
Let's go, baby.
The playoffs are here. It's Monday. You made it through a wintry, snowy mix if you live in the Northeast, and it's all good because you're rewarded with what we call Playoff Monday. Let's get it started by saying first and foremost, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Carton Show. David Jacoby right there.
Yes.
Green Bay Packer, they're in the playoffs this year. Hall of Famer, Mr. Greg Jennings right there.
In the purple.
Former Steeler, they're in the playoffs.
Oh, here we go.
This year.
Here we go. Start early, Craig.
Willie Colon. And now let's get started with something we call Monday morning. What do they call? Headlines. That's right. I told you a month and a half ago the Buffalo Bills were going to win out and win the AFC East. And that's exactly what they did, despite a couple of end zone interceptions from Josh Allen. The Dolphins couldn't get out of their own way on offense. Obviously, no Mostert, no Waddle. They do not look like a good team right now. And the Buffalo Bills, for the fourth consecutive year, win the AFC East. And they are now, believe it or not, the 2 seed.
I struggle to understand who Josh Allen is and what this ball club is. How do you have 2 interceptions and a fumble and you win the game? He came out in the second half.
Threw for like 900 yards.
It was insane. I'm just like, who is this team? But you talked about the injuries, but they did have a healthy 2 in Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
So my thing is with the Miami Dolphins, like, what's going on with you right now? Because right now you're limping and you lose to the Baltimore Ravens and now you lose to the Buffalo Bills. 2 playoff contenders, you got to be better.
Yeah, Greg, you know the deal. Their offensive line has been beleaguered with injuries. Obviously, Waddle's been out a few weeks. Mostert, who is their main running back, no disrespect to H.N., but it hasn't been right for a little while now.
Yeah, it hasn't, and it's unfortunate because injuries are starting to take a toll on the Miami Dolphins. To your point, though, you have your stars available offensively. You expect to get a little bit more production out of those guys. Credit to the Buffalo Bills. We know who Josh Allen is.
Yep.
We know that he's going to have those moments.
By the way, yesterday is exactly what he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Throw for 350 and a couple tutties, turn the ball over a couple times. Play kind of freewheeling and risk-taking, and they got away with it yesterday. But that's your kind of fake favorite team.
But let's we talk about the 2 touchdown interceptions. Let's not forget the fumble. Let's not forget the misconnection with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the end of the first half where they messed that up.
Yeah.
Let's not forget James Cook dropping a touchdown that would have iced the game. That's 6 colossal mess ups.
Yeah.
And they still won.
But they still win the game.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen is the crazy hot girlfriend.
Bills are the biggest. I'm down with that. Bills are the biggest favorite wild card weekend. They host the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get to them in a second.
Yes, sir.
They're favored by 9.5. Miami goes to Kansas City, and they're getting 3.5 right now from the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot more in all these games, obviously, coming up later today and throughout the week. Your second headline, exactly what I said was going to happen in Dallas, Washington. They wouldn't blow them out right away. The question is, when would they take advantage of a bad Washington team and put the game away? It wasn't until the third quarter that they did it. But they did it. And the Dallas Cowboys are now sitting there saying to themselves, okay, we're the number 2 seed. And for that, they get the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yeah, and I told you last week that when you're in this position, especially Dallas Cowboys, there's a checklist. There's how you want to look. You want to be able to run the ball. They was able to do that with Tony Pollard. They got Ferguson involved. Brandon Cooks had a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb went off. And Dak looked solid for the most part. And defensively, they did what they were supposed to, especially by Marcus Parsons. So they answered all the checklists. Now it gets real, right?
Yes.
Like it's all over. We know who you are. We're glad that you made it.
Let's just all be honest, though. When Dak threw that first quarter interception, and what was it? I think it was 7-7 at the time he threw it. Everyone said the same thing. Can't trust Dak Prescott. Obviously, 31 points later, and they put a 38-burger on the table. I think the Dallas Cowboys go into the playoffs feeling very comfortable about where they are.
Yeah, that's the word. They're very comfortable. Obviously, they get to play at home. This is what you play for. This is what they wanted, what they hoped.
Yeah.
To be able to come home, host a playoff game, possibly even more, depending on what happens and how it involves. But for me, when I look at this Dallas Cowboy team, again, we said it about their defense. Their defense has always been their face, but right now it's all about how Dak plays and that offense and what they do with CeeDee Lamb and if they can run the ball in the postseason.
They are 7.5-point favorites at home. They've been the best home team in football all year long. They've won 16 consecutive games in Dallas, and they get a chance to make it 17 and inch ever so closer to a place they have not been in 30 years, which is the NFC Championship game. But it all goes down this weekend. We got tons to get to, including the Eagle.
Philly.
I'll say this. I've done this for a very long time. And there are some days where you feel like God answers your prayers. There are some days as a sports fan you feel like God is good and God heard me. And that happened yesterday when the New York can't even say it. Woo! You know, one of the great joys in life is watching the people of Philadelphia suffer, especially when it comes to their sports teams. Philadelphia Eagles, an outside shot of being the 2 seed, depending, of course, what Dallas is going to do against Washington. And they figured, no problem, we'll go to MetLife Stadium. We've owned it, frankly, against the New York Giants the last 3-4 years. Beat them 3 times last year alone. And the New York Giants said, not today, Philadelphia. And I'll tell you, of all the teams that are going into the playoffs feeling really good about themselves, like the Buffalo Bills, like I think the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, they feel great.
You know, right? There's a team that is not feeling good about themselves. And that, I mean, God is good. Yeah. That, of course, are the Philadelphia Eagles. To the fact that not just that they lost to the New York Giants, but they made Tyrod Taylor and the New York Giants look like the Baltimore Ravens offense, right? Up and down the field, deep ball, running attack, defensively, turnovers. It was awesome, Greg Jennings.
Yeah, and this is who they've been all season long.
The Eagles.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to stop anyone.
You had to clarify that.
Offensively, it's like we don't know what version of their offense we're going to get. But when you look at this team, they have tried to tell us from the jump when they played New England week 1 who they were. And we wanted to make it seem like they were just glitching. They are going to find that stride that they were in.
Or like
the
Super Bowl
before.
hangover.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
And this is who they are.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because when you lose this way going into the postseason, everyone wants to make it seem like, well, we're right where we want to be because we're in the dance. They are not where they want to be.
Haven't been for a long time. I know they got off to that 10-1 start, and we sat here saying, I'm telling you guys, there's something wrong with this team. There's something wrong with them. And now over the last 6 weeks, you've now recognized there's something very, 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 very wrong with them. They can't stop the run.
Nope.
The thing that gets me even more than that, because defensively they're like a sieve right now, is the fact that their offense went from world class, like we may give up 27 points, but we're going to score 30, to that offense can't get out of its own way right now.
Not even that. We sat here last week, right, and we watched A.J. Brown during this press conference pretty much say, hey, it's not Nick Sirianni, it's on us. We're the players, we play the game. Coaches do, take 0 snaps. At the end of the day, this team did not fight for Nick Sirianni.
No.
And it was blatant from the door. Like, if you're going to back a coach, fight for a coach, right? You don't go out there and do it that. It was a gutless performance. And what I was more pissed off about it is I was expecting something to just happen, something magical to happen. It never happened.
Well, that was supposed to be their get-good game going into the playoffs.
And it just spiraled after spiral after spiral. And listen, I understand there was no DeAndre Swift and there was no Fletcher Cox and Darius Slay. But at the end of the day, you still had Jalen Hurts, right? You still had a run game that was doing fairly well for the most part of the game. Which is the point. They couldn't get out of their way. So it's bad right now.
The other thing is they waved the white flag early.
Yes.
Now, I know Jalen Hurts dislocated the middle finger on his throwing hand. You could see it. I mean, not that big a deal. You pull back into place, tape it up. Although it may be harder for him today and tomorrow as that swelling goes into the finger. But they took him out of the game and started making changes before the Dallas Cowboys had locked up that win against Washington. And it was almost like we look terrible. We look listless. The New York Giants look like a damn playoff team. Right. So we're going to pull guys out before we have to answer the question of why did your starters look that bad?
Craig, we spoke about this last week. Remember the discussion was how many series are they going to play? Do you know what we want? Let's have a nice 75-yard scoring drive, get right, and then we'll take the starters off. The exact opposite happened yesterday. Like, there's supposed to be a confidence-building experience. This is a confidence-destroying experience. Like, it was bad last week. It's going to be so much worse this week. There is no team with less momentum going into the playoffs.
A.J. Brown got hurt. They say the ACL's fine, but you all saw it. A.J. Brown's going to be limping today. That's for sure. The Philadelphia with the loss. They don't get the 2 seed, they get the 5 seed. There's the A.J. Brown injury. I thought he tore his ACL
I thought it was
sure.
the way he grabbed it.
Yep, no doubt about it. But he didn't. So that's good news, obviously, if you're an Eagle fan. And now they go to Tampa. They're favorites, by the way, on the road against Tampa. And the red-hot Baker Mayfield, who could barely walk in yesterday's 9-0 win. But Tampa did the job. and the comeback player of the year. Now has a division title under his belt, and that'll be coming up this weekend as well. Right now, in the moment, of all the teams we thought 2-3 months ago had a legitimate shot to make a run to a Super Bowl, does anybody believe in the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, I do because I think they have the more talent.
Yeah.
All right, you asked me the question, all right?
They lost to the Cardinals and the Giants.
Listen, I think they have the more talented team. I think on paper they do. I have to believe with Jason Kelsey, Zach Cunningham, and some of these vets, they're going to will themselves.
We've been waiting for this for 18 weeks.
I get that, but playoffs are different. It's 0-0, all the uglies behind them. You would have to think going into this weekend is going to be a reset for the football.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. I think what Greg's saying is right. Their reset was supposed to be week 16, 17, and 18.
Greg.
Giants, Cardinals, Giants. They barely beat the Giants 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
They lost to the Cardinals, and then they lost to the Giants.
I understand
That
that.
was supposed to be the get-good
But
week.
this is also the same outfit that went to the Super Bowl last year. You have
Different
to
outfit.
believe.
See my point?
But my point is,
My point is
there has to be some pride in this team. It's hard for me to believe that they're going to go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and that they're not going to come out firing. I just don't believe it. With everybody that's supposed to play, I think they're the better team.
Can I raise my hand just real quick?
Please.
I also think it's quite clear that Matt Patricia was not the answer as defensive coordinator because you made the change. The New York Giants. Who? The New York Giants scored 27 points against your defense. What's up?
Yeah, look, again, all your points that you just made is exactly what we've done all season long. We have compared this team to who they were last year, and we have given them pass after pass after pass, and we're waiting for this switch to be actually flipped on when they are telling us who they are and what they are. This team is not making any noise in the postseason. They haven't made any noise. I get it. They had a tremendous record. I've said this before. You guys know this. When we watched last season, the Minnesota Vikings have this great regular season. No one believed that when they faced the Giants in the postseason that they were going to win that game.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Because we knew what they were. Defensively, they weren't going to get any stops. Offensively, it's like, okay, if they score, they got to outscore you. The Eagles right now cannot outscore anyone. Craig, you hit it. We expected them, okay, if you're going to give up 27, you better score 30. They were able to do that early. They no longer was able to do that once they got into that gauntlet. And after that Buffalo win, it was like all she wrote. That was all they had. It's like they shot every bullet that they had in their gun, and it was over.
Now, the good news for Philly, to be fair, is that you do have a banged-up Baker Mayfield. You watched that game yesterday.
Yeah.
He's playing on one leg, and Tampa does not run the ball especially well. I think Rashad White's their leading back, and he's averaging about 3.5 yards a carry. So the one thing we know about Philly, I can run against them, I can throw deep against them, or as the experts say, over the top.
The problem, Craig, problem with that is no team that is in the postseason, obviously they're playing the Bucs, fear the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's not about fear. It's about execution. And this is what we have to understand. The one bright spot to this offense is their offensive line. We can all agree that. We also understand when DeAndre Swift has the ball in his hand, they're a different outfit.
And he was only out because he had the flu or something.
Correct.
Like that.
So it was hard for me to believe when they go against Tampa that it's not going to go through the run game. I'm just going to be I'm going to have blind faith. The Eagles' offense is going to go through their run game because that's been the one bright spot this season for them.
They haven't done it all year.
I get that. But the Bucs defense ain't like that.
Well, we got more on this game coming up for sure, and more on this game all week coming up because there's legitimate panic. We said it a month ago. They started to panic a month ago. They continue to panic in the city of brotherly love. I'll tell you, it's a good thing Joel Embiid's pretty good this year because you ain't got nothing else going on in your life in Philadelphia that's worth talking about. And we'll be on that and on the pulse of Philadelphia. We may even do a live shot from Philly at some point this week. I'm working on that now. I'm just thinking about it. Coming up, a little something called First in Football. I will give you all the playoff matchups and some of the key plays from yesterday as well. Lots of cooking. It's FS1. Speaking of Chris Jones, before we get to First in Football, this was a pretty cool organic moment. I love watching millionaires celebrate making more money than any of us will ever see in our lives. Chris Jones gets the Michael Strahan sack right there. And because of that sack, got like $1 million bonus.
Yeah.
So if you remember how the season started, holding out for more money, gets the contract, has incentives in the contract, and that's a bunch of guys going, we go to Sizzler. We go to Sizzler. Because dude's got cash coming his way. Now, Greg, I'll start with you. Were you ever in a spot like that where you knew a guy on the Packers or Vikings or Dolphins had a big incentive and got it? And if so, did he share the wealth?
No, not on my team, but we were playing against the Calvin Johnson 0-16 team where he needed 200 and something odd yards to make all this, and he got it. And I was on the opposite sideline, secretively rooting for him, like, go get it, Cal.
All right. Fair enough. How about you, Willie? Did you ever experience that?
No. There was one time I think Hines Ward needed a certain amount of catches, and they kept throwing him bubble screens. So, he got it.
Yeah, but it's great that the team's aware of it. I remember, of course, you remember Brady's last year in Tampa with Gronk. He needed one more catch for $1 million, and Brady was supposed to come out of the game, and he told Todd Bowles, no, I'm going back in. I got to get Gronk. So,
that's a buddy, though.
I know these guys already make a lot of money. You guys were blessed to make more money than the average person makes based on your God-given and hard work skill, right? But when you do it, and there's an organic celebration like that, it was pretty cool to watch.
There's another guy you got to celebrate, Jadeveon Clowney. He got his bonus, too, getting a sack against the Steelers. So everybody's eating, man. It's good when you get that free money.
Yeah, but if the guys know about it and they celebrate it, you got to take care of dinner or something.
I think it's harder to get it on defense than offense.
I was about to say, because you can do bubble screens, you can work it into an offense.
Defense, you got to work for it.
And to that point, I think it's more impressive when the guys on defense gets it. Because everybody has to be involved in it, even the defensive coordinator to some extent.
Well, you have my word. If and when I get my bonus here, I'm getting everybody a slice of pizza. That's right. No.
Just cheese.
You haven't seen my bonus structure. Can't get pepperoni, but cheese. Yes.
All right.
No toppings.
There'll be cheese on the pizza. If you just want the cheese and not the carbs, I'll hook you up too. You'll be good. All right, let's go now to first in football. Lots cooking after this weekend.
First in football, we start with some failure. Look at this. All the Jaguars had to do was win the game against the Titans, and they could not do it. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games. Craig, what happened to the Jags?
Rocky Dennis is what happened to the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 10 quarterback. And despite the fact that he thinks he is, and 9 fans down in Duval County think he is, he proved yet again he's not. Look, this is a team that started off 8-3 this year and had the inside track early for what might have been the number 1 seed. Forget about just winning the division, the number 1 seed. And from 8-3, I don't think they won another game.
No.
Like, they lost out.
1-5
over the last 6 to end the season. It was virtually, from a mathematical standpoint, impossible for the Jaguars not to get in, even as a wild card team. And you got to give them credit. They've defied math.
They figured it out. They beat the odds.
And the problem with that now is, now if I'm one of those non-Jaguar fans who is cursing out me and Willie back in October for telling you that you were paper tigers, the reality now is you have a question mark. Doug Peterson's now a question mark. Trevor Lawrence, now a question mark. And the future of that franchise is now a question mark.
No question. Look, this is a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence that after last season, when they got on that hot streak and they went into the playoffs and he threw those first half interceptions and they were down 27, they fought back to get a playoff win. We said this year, this team is going to be one of the best in the AFC.
Greg, they talked about throwing 5,000 yards this year.
And let alone, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League. You add Calvin Ridley. We expected them to be a more explosive offense, a more effective offense, but when they played elite caliber talent in teams, they were a no-show. And he was, more importantly, the no-show. These are his numbers from last year to this year. And I know everybody's going to be like, well, they're pretty comparable. But when you look at the interceptions, when you are a quarterback or any type of player in this league who has had success, the hardest thing for you to do is to build on that success. Now it's expected. It was expected for the Jacksonville Jaguars to win that division and for Trevor Lawrence to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he did not deliver. That's why there's a question mark.
And I will say this. There's a segment of fans out in Jacksonville who do watch this show and love what we do, and we appreciate you guys, who knew back in October that me and Willie were right. And I want to hand it to this one particular Jaguar fan who went on to social media. Yeah, Carton show, you were right about my Jags all year long.
Yeah.
And the internet did my boy dirty. Yeah, that's Rocky Dennis, in case you didn't know. The movie Mask with Sharon and Eric Stoltz. But yeah, it's bad.
Craig, I told you, when you mess with the terrible towel, it will come back to haunt you.
Right.
That's what people have to understand. You touch the towel, that's your ass. And that's what happened to Jacksonville. They got their ass handed to them by Tennessee Titans. You're 100% right. This is a step backwards for the organization.
No doubt about it.
They had the most talented roster in all of the division. Before we knew about C.J. Stroud, they had the best quarterback in the division.
Yep.
Right? We thought the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be them. We were actually talking about, man, if they get into the AFC Championship, watch out because of the takeaways from this defense. And what Trevor Lawrence was that? Poo-poo. It's all BS, man. The bottom line is the towel came and bit you in the ass.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And we thank you because the loss put the Steelers in.
Remember again, the 8-3 Jacksonville Jaguars missed out on the playoffs. The last time our team was 8-3 and missed out on the playoffs were, of course, the New York Jets with Brett Favre. They were 8-3 when he hurt his shoulder, and they did not make the playoffs.
But at least they have that to him.
That's true. We can always just blame Brett Favre. Plus, he had a picture of a small penis.
Right.
So, you know, we could kind of blame it on that, too.
Jacoby, it's a game of inches.
Yeah.
What do you
Centimeters. Yeah. Like, just putting it out there.
We'll go second down.
It's factual.
Don't run from it, Greg.
Time for second
You don't want
football.
to do the second down? I'm having a good time. All right, moving on to second down. The Colts were down by 6, 4th and 1. Whoops! Now they're
Yo, you hate to see it.
drops the pass from Gardner Minshew. This essentially
This is on
gave
Gardner,
C.J.
though.
Stroud and the Texans the win. Craig, rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, heading into the playoffs. How do you feel about the Texans?
Well, first off, I feel terrible for the Colts, and I'm saying to myself, why is Jonathan Taylor not on the field
out.
after a timeout on a 4th and 1 play when all you've done is run Jonathan Taylor, and then you call a pass play? Not a great
through an injury to be on that field.
Not a great throw, but a throw a pro makes in that spot. You got to make the catch there, at least keep the drive alive and maybe win that game. I just have to say that because I'm still trying to figure out why Jonathan Taylor is not on the field. You called timeout. He may have been tired, but you called timeout. He's got to be on the field. All right, that aside. Look, the Texans are just a great story, right? For a dysfunctional franchise that foobarred, for my money, the entire Deshaun Watson mess until the Browns gave up all those picks, obviously, to get him. You've got a franchise quarterback. You've got a dude who, without Tank Dell, became overnight for a lot of America, the best wide receiver in all of football, and a dominant force in their passing game. First play of the game, bang, 75 yards, touchdown right out of the gate. The Texans are interesting because they're a really good defensive team. They're very well coached. You've got a quarterback with a very short memory who overcomes mistakes and plays well in big spots, and you've got a game-breaking wide receiver. Now, their tight end is out. Tank Dell is out. They are banged up big time, but you can't count them out because they've got that. It's almost like I go back to being a kid where, the kid's too dumb to know how good he is. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they're dumb, don't take it the wrong way, but it's so new for them, and everyone's going through this for the first time on that roster where teams like that are scary.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Bottom line. And when you talk about what C.J. Stroud doesn't know, he doesn't know he's not supposed to be here right now because he's been a winner since he's been in Ohio State. So he's like, hey, I'm just moving it on to the NFL. And when you have D'Amico Ryans and you have this outfit led by him, me and Greg were talking about it behind the curtain, the fact that he's made no-name receiver stars right now, the fact that you know who Nico Collins is and you know who Tank Dell is and you know who's on and on is Schultz. Obviously, Schultz was with the Cowboys. But overall, the fact that you know these role players, it's a testament to where he's at.
Really
You're talking about his rookie year.
Now,
this is a guy in his 3rd year, Craig. Rookie year.
It's one of the great stories in NFL today, and let's keep it for what it is. It's a great story, and here's a franchise with zero expectations because it's year one of a rookie quarterback, and that's the year where the game's too fast, and the kid's got to figure out how to be an NFL player and all the things that comes with that. And now they play a Cleveland Browns team, and while they're a great story in their own right, their offense is not going to light the world on fire. but you're going up against one of, if not the best defense in all of football, which is why this game, I think, is 2.5 point, spread in this game. But this game, to me, is going to be a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and I think we're going to love it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to love it. And the thing about the Houston Texans that we have to realize is C.J. Stroud just flat out gives them a chance. I said this early in the season. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, I don't know a quarterback that I would take. Obviously, a healthy Joe Burrow, but for me, I don't know a quarterback that's better than him playing in this game that I would want with the ball in their hands going into the postseason that gives my team a chance to win a game. That is why this team is going to have a chance. It doesn't matter what their defense does, who they have on the perimeter, as you mentioned. When you have a difference maker under center that has the confidence and the belief that C.J. Stroud is playing with, you have a chance.
Good.
I was saying that I want to piggyback on Greg. He's 100% right. When you talk about confidence, poise, and decision making for a kid this young to do it all and have the whole off, like there was so much talked about Aaron Rodgers having the keys to the offense, right? How you could dink and dunk and control everything. He's doing that right now as a rookie, right? Like there's no holdback with it.
It's also why I always say on the show, it doesn't matter how you win. Like sometimes we want to, nitpick wins. Well, you didn't do this well, you didn't do that well. Look, if a backup running back for the Colts catches a pass, that drive may end in a touchdown, and all of a sudden you're not in the playoffs,
Sure.
right? And the Indianapolis Colts win the division, and you're talking about what could have been. No one's going to remember any of that stuff. All we're going to talk about is the great success now that the Texans had with D'Amico Ryans as coach, with obviously C.J. Stroud. And here's the interesting thing again. There's a lot of comparisons between a specific NFC game and this game in the playoffs. The Texans are home underdogs. The Cleveland Browns come in. Take away, obviously, this weekend, they didn't play anybody. They come in one of the hottest teams in football with Joe Flacco under center, and they are now favorites on the road to beat the Houston Texans.
Would you be shocked if Flacco throws some interceptions and then that the Houston defense steps up and C.J. Stroud gets a late game touchdown?
Here's what I tell you. I don't know how anyone, including us sitting here, how you can have a real strong pick on this game. I don't know how, if someone comes out and goes, my lock of the century, don't buy it because this is a coin flip, period, stop.
If this was Bagels and Lock game, you know who I'm going with.
It's not a Bagels and Lock game.
It's a Bagels and Locks game.
I will buy you a bagel.
I'm going with Coleman.
He just wants bagels.
I'm just saying. The last time Flacco played the Texans, he put a whooping on him, right? Amari Cooper had a groundbreaking game. And I understand Stroud didn't play. It was Case Keenum at quarterback.
Thank you.
I get that.
You remember that.
But old man Flacco put on a show in Houston.
It's funny. It's interesting to me that we've now done 36 minutes on the show, and I haven't mentioned it, but you kind of just brought up something that happened on Friday. And I'm wondering why it's not in my show sheet right here.
What's that?
Boy, Bagels and Locks, 21 straight wins.
We'll get to that. We'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it.
I don't see it.
Right now, we're going to third down, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the playoffs. They didn't look good doing it, let's be honest.
Yes, they did.
But they beat the Panthers, and now they face the Eagles. Which team do you feel worse about heading into this one, the Eagles or the Bucs?
The Eagles. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a 500 team. That's what they are. That's what they've been all year. You got to love Baker Mayfield. That dude's a dog. Playing on one leg, making plays. 9 points is all they needed. Their defense did a great job against Bryce Young and the woeful Carolina Panthers. I would always rather be at home, right? Sure. They're at home. You get a full week to get that leg right. This is really the battle of who wants it least, right? Because whoever wins this game, it ends right there. They're not advancing to the NFC Championship game. It's a one and done.
Yeah, this was supposed to be a reset for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after losing Brady, right? Brady leaves, and you talk about their salary cap hell, and you got Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and you got Todd Bowles on the hot seat. Everybody's like, all right, nobody's talking about the Bucs. But all through the season, they started to say, you know what, we believe, and here they are. I like the Bucs offense, obviously with Mike Evans, but listen, the bottom line is I have all the faith in the world the Eagles are going to turn this around.
You can't.
I'm telling you.
Bucs,
but you haven't seen any. But to me, you're saying that more based on your distrust of Tampa than anything Philly has done.
They lost to the Saints at home.
Okay.
They've done nothing. They've been in the middle of the road.
Then if you think Philly's going to win,
yes,
it's more because you don't like Tampa. Not because Philly's shown you anything.
Yes.
Because Philly's been
Have
terrible.
you not believed in their run game? We've said time after time with DeAndre, even with Gainwell
Do we
running the
know
ball.
if they even believe in their run game?
They believe it. They just got to commit to it.
I feel strongly that the Eagles are going to win this game.
Yeah,
One thing I noticed in
100%.
this one is remember Baker Mayfield was red hot? Remember Lambeau when he put up all those numbers? Look at this stat right here, because it's pretty shocking. He did not complete a pass more than 10
That's your
yards down
man,
the
Craig.
field.
Look at your man.
Yeah,
But 10
that's my
yards
guy.
down the
That's
field.
your guy.
Did not complete a pass.
That's who you're going to the playoffs with.
And this is against
you
the
gonna question
Panthers.
Jalen Hurts?
This
See,
is against the Panthers.
Here's the
at
difference
you.
between me and Greg and Jacoby and Willie.
Okay.
Did
Now
they
you-
win the game, Greg?
Thank you, Craig.
They won the game.
Against the
Because the Carolina
Panthers.
Panthers. Are you serious?
Panthers.
That can't be your team.
They did
Wait
a
a
fumble. There was a fumble
Thank
right
you.
on the half-yard line.
They won
There was
the
a
game.
key play.
How
in
many
this
wins
game.
does the Panthers have? One?
They didn't limp into the
Two.
playoffs. They stumbled. They
I mean,
rolled.
when I see
got
it, they
carried into the
pitched a
playoffs.
shutout in a game they had to have to win the division. I like Tampa. I'm all over them.
So I would argue this.
You like Tampa?
I would argue this, and you know this. I don't care how bad a team is. When you play a division opponent, it is going to be a dogfight. Like we even looked at it when we watched the Washington Commanders and Dallas Cowboys.
Was that a
first-
dogfight?
What I'm saying is, everyone knew, okay, they're not going to just walk on the field and just start smacking them, and the Washington Commanders just lay down. The Carolina Panthers weren't going to lay down. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, their last two opponents were who?
The Giants and Cardinals.
Giants and
But
Cardinals.
you can't say that about the Cardinals. Cardinals have significant wins. The Cardinals
Willie.
beat
I
the
was
Cowboys,
with
Steelers,
Yeah.
right? And the Eagles. They've been scrappy, dangerous.
Nobody
Cardinals
else.
have 4 wins, kid.
Yeah, they also
Four
have 13
significant
other
wins.
games.
All right?
They have
How many of the
13
Panthers
other
have?
games.
Just saying.
How confident were you when the Eagles were playing those teams? You were very confident, correct?
I was okay. I was doing all right.
Greg and I are on the same page on this. Look, I'm not telling you Tampa's going to win the game, but I'm not worried about the Philadelphia Eagles at all. Because despite the fact we keep talking about it and Eagle fans keep talking about it, they refuse to run the ball 20, 30 times a game. Why think they're going to wake up on Sunday and go, oh, now we're going to run the ball? Now you've got an A.J. Brown injury. Your quarterback's got a dislocated
Twisted fingers.
on
You
his
don't think they're
passing
going to run?
hand.
Right. Everything you just mentioned. You don't
Yeah.
think they're going to commit to the run?
No,
The
you know
quarterback
what?
has a sideways finger. A.J. Brown has a knee.
A.J. Brown could be out. Sidney Brown will be out. And Jalen Hurts, I know
Sidney
that finger, we've all dislocated fingers. It
Here's-
feels pretty good day one. Starts to feel worse
Here's
day
the
2, 3, 4.
problem, real quick, but I know we have to take a break here. And this is a problem that you guys have to acknowledge. And you can take all your football acumen and experience and what you've seen. Here's the reality.
I don't believe you.
Nick Sirianni's stupid. That's the reality.
Wow.
All right? Nick Sirianni might be the dumbest human being to be on an NFL sideline come mid-January. And that is going to cost the Philadelphia Eagles in what we can only hope and pray is an embarrassing loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on this weekend. We'll give a pick on that game on Friday, not today.
Yeah.
And it's not a bagels and lox
It's a
game.
Bengals and Lions game.
But I will get you a bagel to make you happy, okay?
He wants bagels.
All right, coming up, we got to get into the situation with Jordan Love getting the Green Bay Packers back into the playoffs and the Bills and the Dolphins last night, which we thought was going to be the game of the year. Goes Buffalo's way, and that changes the entire stage for the AFC playoffs. More on that right after this. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show. If you are just tuning in, it is official. The Eagles suck. All right, also, in addition to that, how about Jordan Love off the back foot, throwing a touchdown pass there as the Green Bay Packers? It wasn't pretty, but it doesn't matter how they got it done. They beat the Chicago Bears 17-9, and in his first year as the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, it wasn't great all the time. 9-8 record, but they're in the playoffs. And they get a day with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
4,000-yard passer, over 30 touchdowns. Like, I mean, what more did you want from Jordan Love? Like, his numbers are fantastic. I think what was most impressive with the expectation and the hope of can he deliver on the biggest stage. And this was probably the biggest stage. This was the biggest stage. With the opportunity to win and you're in.
Yep.
He put the team on his back. He shouldered it and he delivered against a Bears team that had been playing very good football.
Yeah.
So for me, I love what Jordan Love has been able to do with a ton of young guys. No Christian Watson pretty much all season long.
Right.
Banged up Aaron Jones in and out of the lineup. Like, we have to give Jordan Love a tremendous amount of credit for what he was able to do.
I give him a lot of credit at 7'6", and it felt like it was 7'6" forever.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, the moment wasn't too big for him. And a lot of things you look for in a young quarterback, at least I do. And to be fair, it's kind of like a rookie year for him, but it's not. He's been around for 3-4 years. This was his first chance, obviously, to be in control of an offense and of the team. So you give the kid a lot of credit, and he is a kid still. First full year as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But this was a playoff game for them.
Yeah.
And in a low-scoring game, Chicago gave them everything they had in that game, and maybe got screwed by a non-call late where they were driving to maybe tie the game when Justin Field got thrown down, head hits the turf. Okay, fine, it happens.
Yep.
I was impressed with Jordan Love from a standpoint of this was the biggest game he has ever played in as the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. And yeah, they didn't score 30 points, but he was cool, he was calm, and the moment wasn't too big for him.
Yeah, I mean, we've all, maybe it doesn't need to be overstated, but I'm going to say it, man. This guy had one start prior to the season, right? They didn't know who the hell Jordan Love was. They didn't know what to say. All they knew is they was ready to build with him, and they was going to have to see it trial through fire. Overall, he won me over was the Thanksgiving game against Detroit.
Yeah.
Out the drive, down the field, Watkins, deep
Pop,
ball.
pop, pop.
This is prior to that game. There was a lot of talk about, man, is this the guy for the future, right?
Sure.
And so the fact that he's rebounded thus far and he's playing efficient football, and credit, by the way, Aaron Jones. He had a hell of a game, 111 yards. It went through him. He was physical. He ran behind his pass. He was able to get to second level and really oppose his will. With that balanced offense, man, I'm telling you, Dallas better be ready.
Well, let me get into that now. So because the Green Bay Packers win, they get to go to Dallas, where the Cowboys have been the best home team in football all year long. They beat everybody by like 3 touchdowns, except for like 1 or 2 teams. And it's interesting that the first wild card matchups, because you've got Mike McCarthy. That's right, Mikey Mack.
Yes, you do.
Who gets a little taste of his former team, the Green Bay Packers, a place that he went to the playoffs 9 times, 6 division titles, and of course the Super Bowl. So that's a great matchup, Gregor.
Absolutely, and Mike is going to say all the right things about the relationship and how they parted ways, and he's going to be very political about it all. But behind closed doors,
He wants this.
he wants
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Desperately.
He's going to get it, too.
When
They're going to blow the
this
Packers out.
This is what you want. Cowboys fans, obviously, you're the best team in football, pretty much playing at home. You don't lose at home.
Yeah.
You get the Green Bay Packers coming into your building against a team that your coach coached for, won a Super Bowl against. The last time we saw the Green Bay Packers make this trip in the postseason, it was a game to be remembered with Aaron Rodgers and the Jared Cook throw on the sideline and all the things, the last-minute game-winning field goal kick from Mason Crosby. Mike was a part of that on the other side. Now he has the opportunity to do something special with the Dallas Cowboys, and it's against a team he won a Super Bowl ring with.
This is the weekend of Exercise the Demons.
Exercise the demons.
This house is a clear.
That was a good
And he's
line.
not the only one, because you've got Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
All right. Playing his first game back in Detroit with the Rams. And, of course, Jared Goff playing against the Rams, a team that gave up on him. So that's a great matchup.
Yes, sir. The bottom line, you also got to understand, Matthew Stafford played 12 seasons for the Detroit Lions, broke to the playoff 3 times.
He's arguably the greatest quarterback in Lions history.
Correct. Right.
By far.
Right. And now he's coming back home. He's pissing vinegar. He's gonna be pissed off. So if I'm Matthew Stafford, watch out, because of Puka Nacua and the rest of the boys around him. I expect this to be a barn burner.
I would feel bad if I'm a Detroit Lion fan. If I finally win a division, I get a home playoff game.
Man.
And
Matt Stafford's going to come in.
comes back and does in this building what he never did in this building, and that's win a playoff game.
Yeah, look, man, this is going to be an exciting game for a lot of reasons, obviously. But I look at the Detroit Lions side of it, and you got to believe Jared Goff is feeling the type of way too. Like,
That's right.
This is a team that said We want that guy. We don't want you. And I took you to a Super Bowl?
That's right.
Like, I don't. So Jared Goff feels the type of way. This Lions defense and offense, this crowd is going to be bonkers. I'm excited about this.
I think this is going to be a high-scoring game because that Vikings-Lions game, the Vikings could throw the ball on the Lions. Yeah. That's one thing is you can throw the ball on the Lions. That's one thing that Matt Stafford does really well. I expect this to be a high-scoring.
Yeah, but I wonder. Hey, listen, we talk about peacocking. If I'm Stafford, man, I would cue the Stone Cold Steve Austin music.
Yeah.
Break the glass, that's your ass. Like, get this calm down. Flames going and come in with vengeance in your eyes. Like, I believe in this Rams offense. We watch them here time after time. Cooper Kupp, Nakua. You talk about the running back. His name slips in my mind. But, yeah. So
let me get to one more. It's also a reunion, Kansas City, Miami. Tyreek Hill gets his first game back in Kansas City. Yes, that's right. That's right. They're even talking about doing Kansas City paternity tests before the game. As you know, what? Look, you know Kansas
The man
City.
got 3 babies, Greg.
Yeah. They're doing free paternity tests to see how many kids at the game are actually related to Tyreek Hill, because that's what middle America teams do.
Yep.
That's all fun, good and fun.
Yes, sir.
But you got Tyreek Hill going to Kansas City, and the wounded Miami Dolphins now trying to figure out who the hell they are, getting to play out an Arrowhead. And let's not forget one other game, if I may, because it's going to be lost in the shuffle of all the reunions. Don't forget, the Houston Texans are playing the franchise that they gave Deshaun Watson to. Don't forget that. Now, Deshaun Watson's going to be in a luxury suite with his girlfriend drinking Dom Perignon and eating fish eggs. But the reality is that that's a good storyline here as well.
Yeah, and I got the Browns. Not just because of Flacco.
I didn't ask for you like
I just took the Browns, and I got the Dolphins to the town.
I know you got Joe Flacco, Willie.
Joe Flacco.
Willie, we know you got Joe Flacco. This one. And the thing I like about this matchup that you just mentioned is half the defense is because of that trade. Half the Texans defense.
Did you just say, it's funny, I was thinking about sometimes when you watch the show, closed captioning is on it, for the hearing impaired. I'd love to know what the guy or gal that does closed captioning just did when Willie went, All right, coming up, we got the Bills and the Dolphins, and we've got the Cowboys, and they start their quest for their first NFC Championship game in nearly 30 years. As we said with that home game against the Green Bay Packers, we'll get into that as well. Lots cooking as we get ready for Wild Card Weekend.
Good morning! I like muffins! Look at that catch in the back of the end zone. That was one of the 3 touchdowns that the Bills scored to beat the Dolphins to win the AFC East. However, Craig, it did come with a fair share of turnovers and mishaps from the Bills. If you are a Bills fan, are you more excited about getting the 2 seed or concerned about all the turnovers?
You're not concerned about anything if you're a Bills fan. This was a 6-6 football team going south a month and a half ago, and now they've won 5 straight games. They're the hottest team in the AFC, and they showed you again. No one looks back and goes, oh, but that was a close game. Oh, you threw 3 picks in that game. It's did you win or did you lose? It ain't a beauty contest, right? And if so, I vote against the girl in a one-piece anyway.
Hey.
So the deal is this. The Buffalo Bills are now at home this weekend. They're going to destroy the Steelers. And then next weekend. And they are the team right now that has figured out how to win, even when Josh Allen is playing like rookie Josh Allen and giving the ball to the other team in the end zone on multiple occasions. Look, I don't know how they figured it out. I'd like to think it's not as simple as just firing Ken Dorsey, but maybe it is. Cook, of course, becoming the featured back. But plays like this are going to haunt them if they get eliminated in the postseason. But to answer your question right now, in the moment, if I'm a Bills fan, I'm not worried about anything because somehow, some way, I've not only turned my season around. You all right?
I just can't believe what's coming out of your mouth.
I'll tell you why.
Are you not looking at the screen?
Tell you why.
I don't understand.
I don't care about it. They won the
How
game.
you cannot care about
they
it?
They went to Miami.
It doesn't have to be this hard. No, it doesn't have to be this hard. They were the better team. They were the most physical team. This is the same team that beat the Dolphins in week 2 or 3 or whatever,
That's right? 48-20.
And they knuckled them up.
Yep.
My point is, if you're Josh Allen, they're talking about the last game of the season, must have it. You can't play like that.
But they got it. The point is, they went on the road and they got it.
But if you talk about his turnovers plus a James Cook drop in the back of the end zone, right? So my thing is, like, the Buffalo Bills have more than what they need. They've proven that they have the goods. But you have to be better because against a better team, this game is over for the Buffalo Bills.
Look, I think that's also not on Josh Allen. That's a miscommunication between him and the receiver.
This is a problem.
That was on 4th down.
That interception's on Josh Allen. I'm not saying he played a perfect game. He didn't. But again, I don't care what he did. He played well enough to win the game, and they won the game.
Yeah, I don't mind him playing the way that he played.
I've never heard that before.
And the reason why I don't is because if you were to break down those games, that first interception obviously covers 0. We saw this against the Eagles when they had a chance, and it was the same 2 guys. He and Gabe Davis, not on the same page.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Look, he doesn't even look.
Thank you.
He doesn't even look. He just fires.
Film here.
Things like that are concerning.
Yeah.
That is concerning. Just the idea that we've been through this scenario, cover 0 with these 2 guys, and to see that they're not on the same page.
Greg, but he's just slinging it, bro.
It's not on the same page. He just turned and threw it without even looking.
So if this were what he had been doing these last 5 games consecutively, you got me concerned. This was one game out of the 5 games that he had a relapse. Like it happened.
All right, hold on.
Doesn't he lead the league in interceptions?
We always talk about the 2 interceptions in the end zone. Those are bad. But let's not forget the fumble, which was also bad. Let's not forget wide open Stephon Diggs on the right side in the first quarter. Wide open. This is the fumble here. And Stephon Diggs absolutely burns Jalen Ramsey going down the sideline, and then he does not connect with him. That's bad. End of the first half. Remember that play? Yeah. Gets tackled on the 1. The James Cook drop. Like, look how open that is. This needs to happen. So I'm, as a Bills fan, a die-easy Bills fan, I'm very concerned about this particular.
So here's my thing. Here's my thing, Craig. How often do we see Josh Allen just overthrow a wide-open receiver like that? Not often. No. How often do we see them have a letdown? And it was coaching, the whole first half debacle that was just mismanaged. That you can't just solely put it on Josh Allen. We can highlight. We can easily highlight all the negative plays, but you talk about the Cook drop. That's not on Josh Allen. That was an amazing throw.
My point is, you're supposed to be an all-work quarterback week 8 into the season, and you made more dumb plays than C.J. Stroud, who was a rookie. Like, if this is C.J. Stroud making those plays, we say, oh, that's a rookie. He'll figure out the moment's too big for him. This is Josh Allen. We supposed to top 5 elite. You started that first half of that game like you never played football before.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
With the face.
They won.
Okay.
By the way, they not only won, they won the division. They're the 2 seed.
Crazy.
And the only time left to go on the road again is to play the Baltimore Ravens. But we should be upset about the Bills?
No, I give the Bills defense a lot of credit. They kept them in this game. My point is, this is a quarterback-driven league. We judge teams about their quarterback play. You have Josh Allen, who played like trash. Now, second half, he was money good.
Let me ask you guys a question, since it seems like we're somewhat combative here today, and that's fine. I appreciate it.
Playoff time, Greg. Time to tee it up.
I appreciate it. So last night's game was to be the 2 seed and win the AFC East.
Yep.
Which quarterback played better?
What happened?
Right, exactly. What happened? Right, what happened? I had the better quarterback. And because I had the better quarterback, the Bills won. If the Dolphins had the better quarterback.
Let me say something. No one does this, but I'm going to say something that people don't really do in sports media for some reason. I'm going to criticize Mike McDaniel. When you watch the first half, the Bills could not stop the run.
Nothing.
They could not stop Achane. And look at this in the second half. 3 rushing attempts for 7 yards. The entire first half, they were absolutely dominant on the ground.
Love
but Mike McDaniel, he's a genius. Oh, he's so cute. He wears off-white sneakers and he's funny in press conferences.
There you go.
No one ever criticizes him. They did not. They completely went away from what was working on offense in the second half, and they had like 3 first downs.
Yeah, look, the Dolphins are going to limp into Kansas City. But just to get back, if I may, for 1 second, to the Bills, you guys are fun. It's like you have an agenda, like an anti-Josh Allen agenda, and that's fine. Maybe you just don't like him.
No,
maybe
Craig. If this is any other quarterback that throws 3 interceptions, you will be. First of all,
Yeah.
If this was Jalen Hurts,
Yeah.
who had 2 picks in the turnover,
Yeah.
you'd be standing on the desk slamming cheesecakes.
Not
and
if they won the
pissing all
game.
over.
Because here's the part of it you guys don't want to acknowledge. The guy threw 2 touchdown passes. He ran for 70 yards, and he threw for 360. Why do we forget that part of his game?
Here's the crazy hot girlfriend. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad.
But I didn't hear the good.
Oh,
all I hear
You
about-
said the good.
Oh, so
no.
I'm responsible for the good.
No, to be fair, he threw for a ton of yards. I also want to show the 3rd and 13 play, which is this is the good Josh Allen. For all the bad Josh Allen,
Thank you.
that 3rd and 13 play was absolutely standing on his head. He had no business converting this thing, and just like look at this. This is ridiculous. Like the
Horrible
dive
tackle.
at the end,
Tackle the man.
didn't tackle him. Then diving at the end.
Number
That's
4
what you
should be
get.
benched for the rest of his career.
That's what you get right there.
Yeah.
Like,
I would
come
just
on.
say this: if you're watching in Buffalo, you know the deal. Greg Jennings, Craig Carton got your back. These other 2 clowns, I'm sorry to say.
Just want you to be great.
Here's my question.
I'm sorry. I just don't want my quarterback to turn over the football.
So
3 times.
I'm assuming
And you're a
Jacoby
Yeah.
and Willie Colon.
Playoff team, too.
I'm assuming, I'll just write it down now, you guys like the Steelers.
No!
Yes. Here we go. Go to hell, everybody.
No,
Right?
no.
Here we go.
Oh, you don't.
I think because of all these turnovers in this game is going to help the Bills in the playoffs. I honestly do.
Well, you know my heart.
So now you like the Bills.
I think they're going to the Super Bowl, yeah.
Now they're going to win the Super Bowl. Okay, let's check.
I don't think I'm going to pick them in the Super Bowl depending on who wins the
for the
NFC.
last five-
They're going to the Super Bowl.
For the last 5 minutes, Josh Allen sucks. You can't trust Josh Allen. Josh Allen's
Super Bowl bet.
Sucked last night. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Traumatized Bills fan.
They're going to the Super Bowl.
Let me make sure. By the way, have we found the video yet of the Bagels and Locks segment from Friday? Still not. Still no.
No, we got
Okay,
that. I
interesting.
saw it during the break.
Interesting. Just waiting to see when that comes
We
up.
burnt that.
What else you got, Jacobs?
Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb beat the Commanders pretty easily to secure the 2 seed. With the 2 seed locked in, is this whole Cowboys season a failure if they don't make the NFC Championship?
Yeah, I agree with that, by the way. I think it is a failure. This team is built, as a lot of Cowboy teams historically have been built to get to the NFC Championship game. And now there's no excuse because you are the 2 seed.
Yes, sir.
So now all you have to do, and I say that somewhat flippantly, I know, is continue what you did in the regular season.
Yep.
You're the most dominant home team in football. Your average margin of victory is 20 points, right? Haven't lost a game in Dallas. Do that, and you go to the NFC Championship game. And I think it's fair now where anything less than that is legitimately unacceptable for the Dallas Cowboys. No excuses.
Yeah, Craig, I think you're spot on because last time we see the Dallas Cowboys at home, they looked one-dimensional, and that defense couldn't stop nobody on the last drive. It took the refs to beat the Detroit Lions, not the Dallas Cowboys. But listen, it's 0-0. It's all a reset. The offense goes through Dak, but the one thing I saw against the Commanders that I didn't like was the run game. We talked a lot about that. Tony Pollard had a day.
Yeah.
Rico Dwyer was able to get off.
Now, look, Washington stinks, but you're right. They did things
It
that.
was a tune-up game they needed to have, and they look good. They
And I
hit
think
the
that's the
checklist.
difference. Sorry to interrupt you,
Go
Ware.
ahead.
You know, the Dallas Cowboys, I think we all thought the same thing collectively, and that was, all right, they're going to win, but can they get other guys involved?
Right.
Can they prove that they can run the ball?
Yep.
Is there an option other than CeeDee Lamb? All those things that kind of bit them in the rear end the last couple of weeks as they were trying to get that number 2 seed, right? And you saw all of it, I thought, on display in the second and third quarter more specifically in yesterday's game. And a 38-10 final is exactly what you wanted if you're a Cowboy fan. Here's the reality. If and when they beat the Green Bay Packers, and I think they will, and I don't think it'll be all that close, to be honest, right? It's going to be interesting what happens in that divisional round because you're either going to get the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Or put up the matchups
It's
right
Lions,
now.
Eagles, or Bucks, basically. Lions,
Well,
Eagles, or Bucks.
well,
Bucks are going to
well,
hell.
no. If the you're going to get the Eagles.
Right. No,
All right,
you
Eagles
end
or
up-
Rams.
You end up with the
5 and
Lions.
6,
You end up
right?
with the Lions. You end up with the Lions.
You can't get the Lions. But you're going to get the Eagles or the Rams. And if you get those 2 games, that becomes interesting. A third game against the Eagles this year or the Rams playing with house money in your building. The Dallas Cowboys have to get to the NFC Championship game. No excuses.
And I'm going to be honest, Crazy Willie, I think that may be the hardest matchup, Green Bay, right?
That's
because
fair.
they beat the Rams already. They own them. The Eagles, you know they got their number. And so you get through Green Bay, it may be smooth sailing for the Cowboys.
I'm not worried about Green Bay.
Look, everything that you said to start this Cowboys conversation is exactly right. This is all you could hope for if you're in that locker room, if you're coaching that team, if you're a fan of that club. We get to play at home. We've been the best team in football at home.
That's it.
Period. Like, there is no more excuses. So if you don't get it done, it is a fail.
It's
It
been
is
like 2 years since they lost a home game. Like, if you lose a home game to the Green Bay Packers or whomever they get in the second round, people are getting fired.
No question. And you lose to Jordan Love, right? This isn't Brock Purdy, the machine, right? No, this is Jordan Love, his first year starting. And if you get axed at home, Dak, man, your stock goes down, bro.
They've beaten the Rams, the Lions, and the Eagles at home this season already. And those are 3 of the 4 teams they could potentially face.
And to be fair, they really didn't beat the Lions.
I was thinking
What happened? It doesn't matter how you win.
Right.
And all that.
You see how you move the field
It doesn't matter how you win.
This is Craig with his takes. That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Might I add, like, when the refs are kind of involved, it kind of that.
Yes.
Okay. Also, the Justin Fields.
And side note for the congregation. Craig also picked the Bears to beat the Packers.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, no,
There's no bagels involved. There were no bagels involved. There were no bagels involved.
Thank you. I only give one official pick if I give a pick.
Oh, okay.
And it's a bagels and lock pick.
I gotta start writing this down.
Now, real quick, if you're a Green Bay Packer fan, here's what you have to hope for. You got to go all the way back to Thanksgiving.
Oh, God.
You got to hope that you get what you got out of Green Bay when they went into Detroit on Thanksgiving and beat them down right from the first go. If they come out of the gate like that, then they've got a fighter's chance. But look, you're a 7.5-point underdog for a reason. It's the best home team in all of football, and you're happy to be there. The Cowboys should win this game by double digits.
The disparity of expectations. The Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. Happy to be there. Any sort of playoff action is great.
I mean,
the Cowboys lose, it's over.
It's no different what we said about the Houston Texans. You don't know what you don't know, so all you do is go out there and fight. They're not expected to win, right? Like, they're expected to get blown out. So they're going to be a way more hungry team. And the Cowboys got to be careful. Got to be careful.
I'm with you there because all the Green Bay Packers are going to hear all this week is exactly what we're saying from LaFleur. He's going to be talking about all the things that we're not expected to do. No one's going to give us a chance. It's us. This is honestly the best possible scenario when you are a young team to go on the road. It's you against everyone. So we have to trust one another. We have to be in lockstep. This is going to be a coming of age opportunity for Jordan Love and this young offense
and they're going to get
this
smoked.
Defense.
Absolutely smoked. Moving on, Craig. Do you want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yes.
The disaster that is the Eagles continues to be a disaster. They just lose to the Giants. They got dominated by the Giants. Craig, how much fun is it for you to watch this dumpster fire continue to burn?
I couldn't get enough of this game. I wish they played another 3 quarters. That's how much. I mean, if you had just been dropped down here from Mars or something like that, or you're an alien, and you watched that game, you would have said to your folks, you would have said.
That's it.
That's it.
That's how they talk, right?
I couldn't imagine any other way they talk. Right. Just how you said it.
Well, like when you contemplate a Martian talk, what do you think they're talking? Swahili?
Yeah.
They're talking ding dong 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 dong. I don't know what the hell it is. Yeah. Mark from Mark.
It's awkward even in person. By far.
Look, I would have. Let's just go back to the elements for a second. If you came down here from another planet, and that was the first experience you had with American football, right?
Yeah.
You would have said, guess what? The Giants are the best team I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because that's how bad the Eagles defense.
24-0.
That's all it was.
Yo, the New York Giants had statistically the worst offense in the last 58 years in the NFL. And they came out with Tyrod Taylor like it was, playground football.
Yeah, it did.
All right. It was almost like watching, an episode of Oprah. Like, but pre-Illuminati Oprah, right?
Okay.
like early fat Oprah, like, you get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown, and no.
Oh, what are you
He reported. He reported.
Hit it with the Rudy Husker move.
Like, it was, I'll say this, for what was supposed to be, the get-good month for the Philadelphia Eagles, having the Giants twice and the Cardinals, turned out turned out to be their Waterloo. Like they got exposed defensively. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the over-the-top deep ball, whether it's Slayton or whomever the Giants put out there to run deep. And all of a sudden, the Eagles now kind of limp into the playoffs. Quarterback's got a dislocated finger. Best wide receiver has a busted up knee. Devontae Smith hasn't been seen in weeks. Obviously, you didn't have DeAndre Swift, the flu-like symptoms. And their players-only meetings, escape the room nonsense. Everybody hates the head coach. And here's the problem. It's one thing if you decided that we know Dallas is going to beat Washington, so we're going to make a business decision, and we're going to come out of the gate with Marcus Mariota and all of our backups.
Nope.
They didn't do that.
Yes, sir. You're right.
They came out of the gate wanting to win because the Dallas-Washington game in the first quarter, and they admitted they'd be scoreboard watching, was close. It was a 7-7 game at one point, 10-7 game, right? Yep. So they kept going thinking, we're still alive, check the scoreboard, still alive. And they got manhandled by a Giants team with nothing at all to play for. And that's a problem.
But Craig, they wanted to win because they stunk it up against the Cardinals, right? If
Part of it too,
you wanted to get the stank off you before the playoffs, you had to play your starter because we said it last week. One thing that good teams do, they hit a checklist, right? And on top of that, there's a way you want your outfit to look. They didn't look good the second half of against the Cardinals, right? You talk about Kyler Murray. Only possession he didn't score was that Sidney Brown pick that went to the house.
Who just got hurt, by the way.
Right, who just got hurt. He's out for the season. So overall, man, I don't blame Sirianni for starting these guys, but they still look bad.
Right, but the backfire of that is if I'm going out there with all my best available players and I get kind of bitch slapped the way they did against a bad, arguably the worst offense next to the Jets in all of football, now you didn't get the stank off you. And I told you guys last week, you got to go Motley Crue. You got to find a way to get the stank off you. Now, Motley Crue made love to burritos so that their wives wouldn't know they were cheating on them, but that's how they got the stank off them. I don't know what the Eagles are going to do. Make love to a cheesesteak or something.
Or just run the damn ball.
Run the ball.
You mentioned something earlier about A.J. Brown and, them defending Sirianni last week and then coming out and having this lackluster performance. Like, they didn't even put up a fight. You said this.
Gutless.
For me, that's indicative of Sirianni not having his team ready to play.
Yep.
I'm not excusing the players. I'm not excusing the players at all. But you clearly saw one team that was coming out and like, you know what, we're going to play. We have nothing to lose. We're going to give you everything we got. You had another team that had an opportunity to try to fix some things, and they actually made things even worse. Not even talking about the injuries. Because even if Jalen Hurts doesn't dislocate his finger, A.J. Brown doesn't go off the field, they still look terrible.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, they did not look like they came to play at all whatsoever. That is concerning if you have decided earlier in the week, we're going to play you guys. So that tells me everyone wasn't completely vested and bought in to the fact that they were going to be playing in this game. That is a bad sign going into the postseason.
This is a quick aside, and this is just for Giant fans out there. You watch that game, you watch the Giants the last couple weeks, to be fair, and I'm saying to myself, Tyrod Taylor's the best quarterback on that roster.
How much are we paying Daniel Jones?
No disrespect to your guy, Daniel Jones, but Tyrod Taylor, I know he's imperfect. I get it.
Yeah, he's not.
But that Giants offense looks different when Tyrod Taylor's playing quarterback for them. And as a Giant fan, which I'm not, I sat back yesterday going, man, this dude can, what's the strike? Why didn't he play? Like, how did he not earn the job?
But Craig, to your point, in training camp, when there was rumors about Tyrod Taylor starting over Daniel Jones, everybody was like, no. And Dayball was like, listen, I know my guy. I know what he can do. And he did it. Like, this is who Tyrod Taylor is. He can run an offense. He's been that guy. Now, he's been extremely injury prone and he's bounced from house to house. But when in the lineup, he can be extremely effective.
I will say this. If you're a New York Giant fan, I know you want the best draft pick. I think they pick 5th now. Or 6th is the 6th. Got it. Thank you. Jets are 10th, I think, for the upcoming draft in April. If I'm a Giant fan, I know I wanted the best possible pick. But the fact that I could beat down the Eagles and kind of expose them for the frauds they are, I'm a Giant fan walking to work like Conor McGregor.
Oh, yeah. That's it. There you go. Big shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Peacocking. Hot foot. There you go.
Peacocking.
Giants and the Jets
looking good. Simmer down. Get out, Craig. Get out, baby. Get on down.
I got some jelly in there, too. Don't think I don't.
What you got in there?
We got a little jelly in there.
It ain't jam when it's this sweet. It's jelly. All right. You like it over there? Yeah, all right.
I love it.
All right, look, it's the greatest weekend of football coming up, and for my money at least. One game, of course, is not available to the public, but we'll get to that later on in the week. It is wild card weekend. But what did we learn from the regular week?
Oh, get off there, Craig. Hell yeah, baby. Hey. Go, yeah.
That's right. Of water. You think I ain't got it? I got tons of it. Breaking news, it's official. The Washington Commandos have fired Ron Rivera. Everybody saw this one coming. Josh Harris, the new owner. Ron Rivera did a terrible job in Washington. And the results, of course, are now he'll be on TV at some point next fall. But Ron Rivera, well-respected guy, good guy, is no longer head coach, and I can't imagine he gets another NFL job as a head coach. Number two, just breaking, Bill Belichick had a press conference about 25 minutes ago, and he was asked directly if he'd be willing to give up his general manager duties in New England. And he actually said yes, that if that was a topic of conversation or a concern of Robert Kraft's, that he would be willing to be head coach only and give up those executive roles in making decisions on drafts and free agent acquisitions. And how great is it that it's the New York Jets that possibly ended Bill Belichick's New England Patriot coaching career after losing 15 consecutive games to New England and giving up countless division titles and watching them celebrate with 6 Super Bowls. That when you tell the story of Bill Belichick, you're going to have to tell the story that it all came to a glorious end in a snow-filled game against the New York Jets, who, by the way, had such little respect for him that they tried to get their star running back, Breece Hall, 1,000 yards. He came into the game with 300. That was awesome.
You know, it's so wild because I was forced to watch this game. It was, at one point, you could tell neither team wanted to win, right? They were trading interceptions. And I'm just like, this is a disaster.
It was not good.
It was bad. It was bad.
The best part about it is that it was hard to see it.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
The snow and the clouds. Also, Arthur Smith, as you know, got fired, but there was a situation at the end of yesterday's Saints-Falcons game. And
come on, man. Greg decided to talk about it.
All right, so it's victory formation for the New Orleans Saints, but they don't take a knee. And the two coaches get into it afterwards because that's disrespectful. You lined up in victory formation, and Jameis Winston then hands the ball off, and the New Orleans Saints score a meaningless touchdown. Here's what happened. They called victory formation, and Jameis Winston and the collective 53 men on the Saints decided, no, we're right there at the 1 yard line, an interception return. Guy got tackled on the 1. And Jameis Winston decided with the other guys, we're on the 1. We all love our running back, Williams. Let's get him a touchdown. So they defied the head coach, and here's Jameis Winston explaining exactly that. It's awesome. Check this out.
Because the play was victory, but I also explained to DA that it was a team decision, and I think when you have a team morale, and I asked the guys, I said, guys, like, what do you want to do? We know how much Jamal means to this team, and I understood from DA's perspective, so I give him that. But DA didn't condone that at all. You know, he didn't. However, we decided as a team to do it, and man, we got an interception to the 1 yard line. You know, like, so if we would have scored, it still would have been disrespectful.
Oh, they didn't.
All right, so leave that. So DA's Dennis Allen, of course, the embattled head coach who gets yelled at by Arthur Smith for embarrassing them after the game. But he didn't. He said, take a knee, victory formation. But Jameis and the guys decided, F that. We're on the 1. Let's give Jamal Williams a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't think Jameis Winston talked to anybody. I think Jamal. I think he heard the play. He's like, we're running it in. Like, it's hard to believe.
You do a poll?
Like, Greg, you help me. If I'm wrong, I'm right. If I'm right, I'm wrong. Whatever. At the end of the day, if you take a knee, if you tell the offensive line they don't have to block it in game's 1, and we don't have to do our job, not at your house, we're going to listen to you, right? Because we don't want to get hurt either, right? We want to go home and we want to get off the field. So I don't know. I think this is Jameis just going rogue.
Yeah, by the way, I understand why Arthur Smith is pissed off, and now he's fired, so it doesn't matter. But Dennis Allen was in a bad spot there because
you can tell by his body language. He's like,
I told him to take it.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm disappointed in Dennis Allen, though. Like, if we can play this sound at his presser, and I get it, you got to say what you got to say. But Dennis Allen apologizing to Arthur, look, back your team up.
That's it.
Line up, strap it up, and play ball. I don't care who you. This is not Pee Wee League. We're not starting the clock and just running it down, and we're on some type of Pee Wee game. No, you're professionals. Line up. Like listen to the sound of.
Here's Dennis Allen after the game. Go ahead, guys, play it.
I'm gonna start off by apologizing to Arthur Smith and the Falcons. That was not a play that we intended to run down there to finish out that game. That's not who we are. That's not how we operate. We should have taken a knee. So. I want to apologize to them.
Yeah, you should apologize to your fans for giving $100 million to Derek Carr and not making the playoffs.
Look,
start with that.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now. If a coach comes at me that way, I'm not getting up on the podium knowingly that I didn't even call that. Now I'm backing my team. Because you disrespected me and you put me on blast in front of everybody as if I'm the little fish and you're just gonna squash me. Like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Look, I thought it was great. I don't want to spend too much time on it because neither team is in the playoffs, but it was a great little theater for a meaningless game yesterday.
Can we rewind
And
that?
by the way, no surprise Jameis Winston's involved in it, right?
Yeah, of course.
He said everything with so much conviction.
During the handshake or whatever it was, there's a guy that goes right behind Arthur Smith, that mother F's DA. I don't know if you see it.
Play it one more time, guys. Show it to us.
Look at the black guy.
Here's the touchdown by Williams. Jameis celebrates and everybody's
Look at the brother
happy.
that walks behind Arthur Smith.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
He's like, oh, yeah, that's it right there. He's like, I got one for you, too. That for me, that made the clip for me. He was like, if I was the head coach, I'd whip your ass right here. I love it.
Well, Arthur Smith's no longer a head coach, so.
Which is why they all feel like that.
Yeah.
I love that dude walking by.
That's the last thing he did in his job was screaming Dennis Allen.
He was like, yeah.
All right, time now for a segment we call Get Learnt. These are all the major things we learned this weekend from the final regular season weekend in the NFL. Number one, the first thing we learned this weekend is that Nick Sirianni is stupid and not a very good coach, as the Philadelphia Eagles, with their season on life support, are going to go limping into Tampa now after the New York Giants damn near dropped 30 on them.
Yeah, well, what pissed me off about Sirianni, you talking about week 13, you now changed defensive coordinators. You were having woes before that, right?
That's right.
Now you see the complete disconnect between that defense and Matt Patricia, who I hate because of that stupid pencil in his ear, but that's another story. But you talk about a defense right now, in the last two games that allowed 7 touchdowns and 10 possessions between the Cardinals and Giants.
Yeah.
That's a bad defense.
Say that stat again.
Yeah, pretty much it said. It said they allowed 7 touchdowns between the Cardinals and Giants through the last 10 possessions.
7 touchdowns and 10 possessions.
Yes, sir.
That's not good, Greg Jennings.
No, it's not. And on the opposite side of the ball, they haven't been productive either. And we talk about them running the ball and what DeAndre Swift provides to them as a running back, but they don't even understand that that's their identity. So who are they going into this wild card weekend? We will find out soon.
And that's the Monday night game, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Have that
it
right?
is. Yeah.
All right, second thing I learned is that, the New York Jets ended Bill Belichick's Patriots coaching career. They might be dumber than Nick Sirianni. The New York Jets apparently have a tough time adding single-digit numbers because Breece Hall came into the game needing like 170 yards, whatever it was, to get to 1,000, and the Jets thought they got him there. Here's Robert Saleh after the game. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were aware. One of our mathematicians was wrong. We thought he got it, but we were 10 yards off. So, but we were trying to get it for him on that last run.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he wound up 6 yards short of 1,000, only because whoever with the New York Jets is responsible for adding messed it up.
It's the most Jet thing that could happen.
God, they pulled him off the field thinking he had 1,000.
You hired a guy to do math, and
That's
he
right.
couldn't do math.
Dude, they gave him 40 carries in that game. It was just Breece Hall, trying to get him to 1,000 yards. They thought he was there, so they took him out.
I mean, at what point did the calculator go left on you? Like this added up.
It's not hard.
All right. The third thing I learned from the final weekend of the NFL's regular season is that Trevor Lawrence is not a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Oh, no, not at all. What's even more shocking, once Christian Kirk got hurt, that offense took a dive, and he's been bad. And I understand. I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. He's been dinged up, concussion, ankle, whatever. But overall, I'm just trying to buy what he sold us. He sold us he was going to have a 5,000-plus year passing. This offense was going to be out of this world. They finally got Calvin Ridley, so they're going to be a different outfit. And Doug Peterson right now, I'm questioning you. Because you were supposed to be the difference with Trevor Lawrence.
It's funny. It's it's the exact opposite of last year, too. They started off 2-7, ended winning like all their games, got into the playoffs, win that playoff game against the Chargers. The exact opposite. They were 8-3 this year, go 1-5 in the final 6, and amazingly, they're not even a wild card team.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give them a pass because it's a difference when you're playing with no expectations, which they were playing with last year, and you're playing with expectations, and now the target is on you to be great, and you don't overcome and you don't be great. That was Trevor Lawrence all season long. We talk about the up and down roller coaster of Josh Allen. That was Trevor Lawrence for me this year.
Yeah, big disappointment, especially with the great start they got off to. This one's a little self-serving, but it says here on my sheet that bagels and locks is the only sure thing in sports handicapping these days. It is now a perfect 21-0. Let's go to the videotape.
Okay, we got receipts.
I'm sorry to everybody in South Florida. The Buffalo Bills are the guaranteed dub of the week. That's it?
That's all you get. That's all you get.
That's going to be a whole rip.
I've been saying it for 6 weeks, but okay. You got one little highlight there. And the Bills take care of business. They win. And they cover against the Miami Dolphins.
That's what was going to be lovely.
And I got one more for you. The last one, the thing I learned is that Dan Campbell's got a long memory. And Dan Campbell decided, I'm going to stick it to the NFL. Yesterday, meaningless game for the Detroit Lions. But what did they do? Tackle eligible.
Go get it, Skip.
Yes,
Go get it, big fella.
Number 70.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry, say the number again, Jacoby.
70.
Yeah, Dan Skipper.
Number
all the Jets
70.
fans, 70.
Number 70 came in touching his nipples.
Yep.
I'm eligible. And they threw him the ball to make a point.
And he caught it, Craig. That's even better, right? They call your number, catch it, big fella. He did. And I felt bad for Skip because on the highlight going to the Cowboys game, I did report. He was crying on the sideline.
But I tell you what, if Skipper was the running back for the Colts, they'd be in the playoffs right now.
Good point.
Spot the lie, right?
Hey.
All right, coming up, we got some first in football. We've got that question we've already answered, that the Jaguars are a big disappointment. But again, they have a fan base of 9. Like, who cares? The Jaguars are not playing postseason football. But a lot of teams are going to start taking a little look at some of the first-round matchups and what happened this past weekend that caught our eye. Lots more football coming up right after this. I hate Indiana. I'll go with the female Larry Bird.
Okay.
Anyhow, welcome back to the Carton Show. Real quick, before we get back into all the on-the-field action, there was some amazing off-the-field action. Cincinnati-Cleveland playing a meaningless game, of course. And Jake Browning, the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, has been giving Joe Burrow's luxury suite.
Yeah.
Because Joe's a great guy, great teammate. And Jake Browning's girlfriend was front row. And I just think we should take a look. Can we take a look?
Let's do it.
Let's take a look.
Right,
take a look.
Wow.
That's an outfit.
Yeah.
That's a decision that you made.
Yep.
That's a one piece right there.
She got a friend, too.
I think the ladies call that a leotard. Yeah. Okay. Somebody wants to be a Maxim. That's all I know.
Right.
In any event, great job, Jake Browning. And great job by Joe Burrow giving the Browning family and his hot girlfriend front row seats inside the luxury suite. What's up?
I'm just saying I like her friend, too. The friend was...
You love the big girls.
Yeah.
In any event, let's go back to Jacoby.
I'm always watching the big girls.
Jacoby now.
That's important.
It's some football.
First in football, the New York Jets won a football game. Not just that.
All right, Jets.
They beat the New England Patriots for the first time in 15 games.
Sub-zero.
Can't even be seen.
And what we're looking at right now is that the last time we see Bill
Get your hands
Belichick
off.
as the head coach of the New England Patriots.
Yeah, first off, that's perfect Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so
Shake
many,
the man's hand.
So many lines are coursing through my head right now. I can't say on TV. But, I mean,
He's like, yeah, get off.
Doesn't make eye contact, hiding his entire face, doesn't want the cameras to see him, says more words to Aaron Rodgers than he does, of course,
exactly,
to Robert Saleh. That's the typical kind of, skunk ass that Bill Belichick is after a loss, showing no respect at all for the opposing coach or the opposing team, covering himself up. We know what it looks like. We have to say it on TV. But it's great that this Hall of Fame career comes to an end in a snowy day against the New York Jets, the franchise that he hates more than any other franchise, the franchise that he has owned more than any other franchise. Remember, coming into this game, as bad as the Patriots have been the last few years, they've always dominated the Jets. Ugly games, good-looking games, they own the New York Jets. So the fact that my embattled head coach, Robert Saleh, who's never had a winning season, who's coming back purely by the grace of Aaron Rodgers himself, was the guy that sent Bill Belichick to what we believe is going to be a divorce from the New England Patriots, gave me such joy. Like, I was in a weird spot yesterday. I was trying to figure out which of two things made me happier. The fact that the New York Jets dominated the New England Patriots and ended Bill Belichick's career in New England, or the fact that the New York Giants embarrassed the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I don't know which one made me happier, so I just drank for both of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, and had a great night, I'll tell you that. But look, we're talking about a Hall of Fame career that it seems like isn't over yet. It seems like the blood that's in the water is just that it's time maybe for him to move on from New England. Now, I know at a press conference this morning, Bill Belichick said when asked that he'd be willing to give up his general manager duties to stay in New England as the head coach. I'm not sure if that's on the table. If it is, that changes the conversation significantly. If not, here's the reality of Bill Belichick. Much like a lot of coaches you guys, I'm sure, have played for. He doesn't know how to do anything else. Most coaches are coaches, and they can't do anything else, right? So I don't think Bill Belichick is going to retire. And when that becomes real, and Bill Belichick is now available, you've got the teams that have already fired their coaches. I think there's 4 of them now, right? Maybe 5 as of this morning with Ron Rivera. Thank you, getting fired in Washington. There's probably 2 or 3 more that are going to be fired here this week. If not today, on quote-unquote Black Monday, the day when coaches get fired. But if I'm a team in the NFL that is not a playoff team right now, but man, I think I got the talent. I just need the right guy to lead that talent. All of a sudden, Bill Belichick being available, for all the stuff I say about him, which is all personal, dating back to our relationship in Cleveland, and I own that. I should be bigger than that. I'm not. I'm immature. That being said, there's going to be a job that is not open, that suddenly is going to become open because I've got an opportunity to get the best coach of all time. And I'm talking about situations like Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni has lost the Eagle locker room. I don't think there's much of debate about that. He does have the Super Bowl appearance in his back pocket, and that does count for something. He's in the playoffs again. That counts for something, but it's going the wrong way. And if I'm a team like Philly, and I know that Bill Belichick is available, and I have a chance to get him, and I think I've got the quarterback, and I've got the skill position guys, and I've got a decent defense, at least on paper, and I could bring that guy in here to change the Nick Sirianni culture to a winning culture, a respectful culture. The job's not open, but if I can get Belichick, I open it.
Yeah, I like that. I think there was a team outside of your pick. It probably, for me, would be the Chicago Bears.
Okay, Matt Eberflus, who right now is kind of like 50-50, right? Is that fair?
But if you're talking about the way that defense played, especially with the addition of Montez Sweat the back half of the season, they were first in interceptions. They did a great job on the back, and they actually got after the quarterback. And you talk about Justin Fields, who played with a chip on his shoulder. You keep in and you get a regime or a culture that Bill Belichick brings, that could be a different outfit.
Yeah, obviously the Chargers make sense. I want to avoid the teams that have already fired their coach because we could have that conversation tomorrow if you want. And there's some choices that clearly are better than others. Being able to coach a guy like Justin Herbert would be very attractive to anybody, not just Bill Belichick. But what's fascinating about it is it's almost like you're taking a great player in past his prime, but still has a lot to bring to the table. And now he's available. And now you have to make a decision. Do I bring him in because of the gravitas of that guy's name?
Yeah, the reality of it is Bill Belichick, he's still a great coach.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
There's a couple hats that he wears that one hat we question, the other we don't really question him as a coach.
Right.
Like we question him as the GM in trying to manage everything. But for me, you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, I never thought about that, but when you started talking about it, it makes a tremendous amount of sense.
That's right.
There's a saying, you're only as loyal as your options, right? So you love Nick Sirianni. You guys went to the Super Bowl last year and everything's fine. But once Bill Belichick becomes available, you have to take a hard look at your current head coach and say, is Bill Belichick better than this head coach? And I would say 25 teams around the league would have an upgrade.
And the deal with Philly, and I don't want to make this just a Philly thing, but I'm going to just for the moment. Look, if they beat Tampa and they advance to the second round of the playoffs, maybe that changes a bit. You advance to the next round. But if you lose to Tampa, even though Tampa's at home and Tampa won their division, if you lose to Tampa, that means you had 2 months of nonsense, right?
You got it right.
And your coach couldn't fix it. And the one major change he made was defensive coordinator, and your defense got worse statistically.
Correct.
So to me, I don't think they're thinking about firing Nick Sirianni, but all of a sudden you're giving Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman, the GM there, you're giving them reasons to. Because you didn't fix what was obvious. Like how many players-only meetings can one franchise have, right? How many escape the room events can we go to until we decide to just lock the damn thing and not come out, right?
But you're 100% right, especially with Nick Sirianni and what he's done thus far. The problem with that team, for me, is go to that Cardinals game. They were too conservative in the second half of that game. When you got Kyler Murray ripping you up and you don't have any adjustments to kind of get over that and get you a win, that's one thing.
Now, let me give you a second option while we're on it, because, again, Bill Belichick had a press conference today. He was not fired today. He's not available for trade yet today. He just acknowledged if it comes up, he'd be willing to be coach only in New England. He didn't speak about any other franchise, so I don't want to put out stories that aren't accurate. But
let's just say if that's the case, and Bill's solely the head coach and the GM, you think Bill's going to listen to the GM?
I think you'd have to hire a guy that has a proven track record of success for him to respect the man enough to listen to him. But I'm going to throw another team out there because this is what we do. I think the Eagles are obvious. I'll give you another one. If you're Green Bay Packers going to Dallas, I don't think they will, but if they do, and they beat the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys have not made it to the divisional round, let alone the NFC Championship game, best home team in football, Jerry Jones is 82 years old.
You going to do this to Mike?
You're damn right I am. And by the way, I love Mike McCarthy. You know that.
You always start with hate, then love.
Is it because he's a bigger guy? You've talked about that.
I've always said Mike McCarthy gets a bad shake because he's fat and sloppy. That being the case, I think he's a wonderful head coach. Some questionable fourth quarter decisions in big games, but a really good coach. And I'm not picking on Mike McCarthy. But if I'm Jerry Jones and I'm 82 years old and I find out, again, based on a lack of success in the playoffs, I'm not basing it on anything else. If the Cowboys stub their toe and lose to the Green Bay Packers again, I don't think they will. But if it happens, you think Jerry Jones is going to say, come on back, Mike, when Bill Belichick's available?
I don't think Texas can hold both of their egos. What do you mean? I think it's a disaster if Bill landed in Dallas.
Look, I think Jerry Jones would tell you privately the biggest mistake he ever made was getting rid of Jimmy Johnson. And they've repaired that relationship. Jimmy's in their Ring of Honor. It's ended great for both men who are later on in years in life, right? But those two egos clash. But guess what happened? They won 3 Super Bowls.
But Craig,
right?
Bill Belichick is 71 years old. Jerry Jones is 80-something years old. You talking about 2 old goats?
I would tell you this. If the New England Patriots fire Bill Belichick, and maybe it's more of a trade situation than a straight-out firing, if they agree to part ways, Bill Belichick is the #1 most sought-after acquisition more than any player that is available this free agency period.
I agree with that.
And if the Cowboys lose to Green Bay, he will be the Cowboys head coach. If the Cowboys win and Jeff Lurie picks up the phone because they lost to Tampa, he will be the Eagles head coach. And if the LA Chargers, whoever the hell owns them these days, if that guy goes, look, Sean Payton got 5 years, $90 million to coach the Denver Broncos. I'll give you 5 years, $100 million. Will you be my Chargers head coach? He'll be the Chargers head coach. Bill Belichick will live to see another postseason day next year in the NFL, driving all those Jet fans crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of what's going on in New England with Bill Belichick. Now you're up to date. Coming up, a little something we like to call disappointment. Yes, are we doing it?
We are doing it. We got
it's
it.
the wheel of disappointment. Coming up right after this. Let's go. Get the wheel.
We need it.
The wheel of disappointment.
I love wheels.
First off, my picture should not be out.
It was disappointment.
All right, this is a reaction to what took place in Week 18 in the NFL. Rocky Dennis, a.k.a. Trevor Lawrence, is in the middle. Obviously, starting quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They started off the season 8-3. They don't even make the playoffs, let alone win the division, because the Houston Texans get the division. So, who's more disappointing than Trevor Lawrence? You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Spin that wheel! Yeah!
The Bengals?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Interesting.
Cincinnati coming back with Joe Burrow. Everybody thought this was going to be the breakthrough year. Screw Patrick Mahomes. Yep. It's Joe Burrow's world. We're going to win the division. Mm-hmm. We're going to make a run to the Super Bowl. And, of course, they don't even make the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
So for a team that came into the year with Super Bowl aspirations, they don't even make the wild card spot. And yet, Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns. Like, no joke, 3 teams in the AFC North are in the postseason. The Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Pittsburgh Steelers. Deshaun Watson, DTR, PJ Walker, Joe Flacco, Cleveland Browns.
Put on your black, Joe.
And the Cincinnati Bengals are out. Who's more disappointing, the Bengals or Trevor Lawrence?
By far, the Bengals. It could be. Listen, you talking about the calf injury, and by the way, let's understand. One of these receivers aren't coming back between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. One of them's gone.
Yeah.
So you're talking about lack of weapons, and by all accounts, man, this is what we watched the first 5 weeks of the season. This man hobbling.
Yeah.
Now, he came back, he did well, and then against Baltimore, he broke his wrist or whatever, and then that was the end of the Bengals.
Greg, what do you think? More disappointing, Trevor Lawrence, Rocky Dennis, or the Cincinnati Bengals?
I'm going Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going Trevor Lawrence here. Look, with all the hype coming into this season, with what they were able to accomplish last season, winning the division, and to have this expectation put on you and you not deliver against in a division where we really feel like, even with C.J. Stroud, as great as he's played, you still had the opportunity to win that division and you blew it in the final week of the season.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be the guy,
And they
one
have
of the
one
top
of the
guys in the
easiest
league.
schedules of the
Perhaps you guys didn't hear that the Browns and the Steelers have been through 8 quarterbacks, and they're both in the postseason.
Yeah.
I go with Cincinnati.
I go
on that.
Cincinnati.
No way, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, all right. I guess something
Split there. They don't know what they're talking about.
You and me, right?
Yeah, me and you. Talk to us. Stay
Home
together.
team.
All right.
Spin that wheel!
Here we go. Big money. Okay.
All right. Now, to be fair, this is an easy one for me. All right. As bad as Trevor Lawrence was, and the Jaguars blowing an 8-3 record and not making the playoffs. Woo!
They were 10-1.
I mean, players-only meetings, escape the room nonsense, pointing the fingers at the coach who has a punchable face, right? Firing a defensive coordinator, but leaving him in the building. The head of security getting into it.
Big Dom.
I never won a game since. Here's the reality. The Eagles limp into the playoffs. They're still a playoff team.
Yes, they are.
But as Jacoby just said to me, and I've heard it, for a team that started off 10-1, to not win the division, to not have the number 1 seed, and to have to go on the road the first round of the playoffs, they're a major disappointment. But are they more disappointing than Trevor Lawrence?
No. I'm sorry. Listen, the fact that they're going to the playoffs and they have at least a bit of hope because of the run game. I know the defense is abysmal, and I understand that. But Trevor Lawrence is not going into the playoffs, right? They were 8-3 to start the month of December, and they absolute tank. So for me, no, Trevor Lawrence wins this one.
Yeah, I'm with you, Willie. They are in the playoffs. As bad as they've been, they are still.
Come on, the Giants scored 27 points.
Do you remember the playoffs last year?
But you're talking about
Eagles-Giants games in the playoffs last year. Do you remember how the Eagles absolutely dominated the Giants? They just waxed it from the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And then that same team, those two same teams played yesterday.
Right.
And it was the opposite.
This
But you know what's
is not
happening?
last year's team. Stop doing that.
But you know what? The Giants and Jaguars are doing the same thing. They're going home, all right? So it doesn't matter how you look.
And it's going to end the same way. They're not playing in Vegas in February.
No.
That's for sure. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Spin that wheel. Yeah, big money, money, money.
Chicken dinner, chicken winner.
In the face.
So that's Nick Sirianni. He's the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
He has lost total control of that locker room. He once came out and said after a game against the Seattle Seahawks that his play call was, please, God, give me a pass interference.
Yep.
They ran that a couple times yesterday.
Yes, they did. Exactly right. Or Trevor Lawrence. Nick Sirianni did go to a Super Bowl last year, as Greg just said. Last year, next year, don't matter. It's this year. Who's been more disappointing? Nick Sirianni as head coach of the Eagles or Rocky Dennis, Trevor Lawrence, starting quarterback of the Jags?
I'm going to go with Nick Sirianni here, there, Craig. And I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised, honestly. I thought he was going to have some type of resolve to all the dumpster fires that's going around this team. The fact that his team played a gutless performance against the New York Giants says more than we need to know.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to describe it. That should have been a get-good game.
Yep.
Have a couple of drives, score 10 points, whatever it is, move the ball, feel good about yourselves, take everybody out, be rested for the game against Tampa. But like you said, a gutless, no spine performance by the Eagles against the Giants.
I'm still going with Trevor Lawrence. Look, this is the quarterback that told us, like, it looks like we don't even practice.
A couple weeks
ago. You're throwing your coach under the bus, basically saying that we don't practice. And mind you, he actually wasn't practicing when he said that because he was out because of injury. Like, so you're throwing your team under the bus. It's still Trevor Lawrence for me.
I'm going with Sirianni and the Eagles, man. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we hear about the conflict. He's arguing with people on the sidelines. Roquan Smith. He's arguing with Devontae Smith. Hassan Reddick, exactly. And this team went to the Super Bowl.
Bottom line is this.
The Cardinals and the Giants.
Ask a diehard Eagle fan. They would say Nick Sirianni. He's the most hated man in Philadelphia right now because they blame him for everything that's gone on the last 6 weeks. Ready? We got a couple more.
Let's do it. Spin it.
Spin
that wheel.
Yeah! All right, here we go. It's got to be the Jets. It has to be the Jets. Yeah.
I'll answer this one. It's just the same. Oh, Jets. Hey. It's just the same. Hey. Oh, Jets. Yeah. I love the fact that the Jets ended the Belichick coaching career in New England. I get great joy out of that.
Me too.
I had a couple shots of homemade limoncello to celebrate it last night. I'll bring some in for you tomorrow, Biggs.
I'll take it.
Don't worry about that. But at the same time, my team can't even add to 1,000. All right? They tried to get Breece Hall a 1,000-yard season. He ended at 996. Why? Because the Jets employed a mathematician who can't add by one. One. Yeah. So Breece Hall winds up 4 yards shy of 1,000 yards. Typical Jets, of course, that's how the season ended. But I love the fact that they ended Belichick's career in New England. So it's disappointing, as the Jets have been from the fourth play of this year when Aaron Rodgers went down through even yesterday. Trevor Lawrence is a bigger letdown of disappointment than they are because they ended Belichick's career. Good job, Jetsies.
What?
That's right.
No way.
Yeah.
This is the Jets by far.
Yeah.
It's like, you lose what you felt like was going to be your savior.
We're talking Super Bowl.
4 snaps into the season,
That's right.
and you can't adjust.
Yeah.
You can't go out and find. We talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We talked about the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
We talked about all these teams
Yeah.
that were able to find a way to have quarterbacks. Like, you lost yours early in the season.
Flacco called the Jets. Called them.
What we doing?
I slurp it all.
Okay.
I take all of it. I swallow all of it.
I just don't like that
Here's
sound.
the point you guys missed, because I'm a 50-year Jet fan, okay? All right? They ended Bill Belichick's career in New England.
We don't even know if he's technically fired yet.
We're having a parade tomorrow in Manhattan to celebrate the end of Belichick's New England career. My Jetsies did that. I love them.
Yeah, we had to stomach no Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, an unprepared organization, and a defense that pretty much held on as long as they could.
I take it all. I slurp it all. Yeah. I'll take all of it.
Fire Hackett, buddy. Hackett's got to go.
In a lost season, the New York Jets ended Bill Belichick's career. That's a win. Parade tomorrow. Okay. One more. Spin that wheel.
Oh, man, here it goes.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Well, we go to the secret envelope.
The secret envelope.
All right. Who's more disappointed?
It better not be about me. Because every time you open it, you look at me.
Who's more disappointing?
See?
Is it Trevor Lawrence or this one came in from the outside?
The outside.
Honey, last night was a real big disappointment. I thought you were better than that.
Oh.
Signed, Mrs. Carton.
Oh, man. Oh.
Is it the gumdrops?
It's a big bag of gumdrops.
Or is it the fact that you
saying? We know what it is. we know.
Yeah.
Too much limoncello?
Too much Grand Marnier. Yeah.
Too much limoncello. Yeah.
It happens.
You sure it's not all
spin? We'll take a quick break. We got all these top NFL stories, including that big question right there. Will the Cowboys make it to the NFC Championship game? And if not, is Mike McCarthy afuera right after this? I'm telling you, the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC East. Put it up on the board. Keep an eye on the Bills. Don't sleep on Buffalo. They are making the run. I'm sorry to everybody in South Florida. The Buffalo Bills are the guaranteed dub of the week.
Craig tried to tell us.
Tried to
tell us. And we start with the headlines with that game. Craig, you told us the Buffalo Bills are going to win the East. You told us the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Dolphins. What happened?
The Buffalo Bills won the East. Buffalo Bills beat the Dolphins. Look, it wasn't the prettiest game I've ever seen. And Josh Allen certainly gave Miami, ample opportunity, with extra possessions to get the job done and for them to win the division. Think about that. You're the Miami Dolphins. You're talking about early on, this might be the greatest offense since the greatest show on turf. They're going to break records and set records, and no one's ever going to do it again. And they got the inside track for the 1 seed. And then Baltimore bitch slaps them a couple weeks ago. And now all of a sudden, you're sitting there, win one game at home.
Yeah.
Win one game at home, and you don't have to leave South Florida to the last weekend in January for a day and a rematch with the Baltimore Ravens. And Josh Allen said, hey, Miami, you catch the ball. I'll throw you a couple picks in the end zone. I'll give you ample opportunity to take us down, so we got to go on the road. And they couldn't even defend their home turf. So now the real question is, keep Buffalo aside for a second. Let's focus on Miami.
Yes, sir.
You've got a banged up Waddle. You've got a banged up Raheem Mostert. You lost Phillips. You lost Chubb, your two best edge pass rushers, right? So your defense is now not what it used to be. You're riddled with injuries. All right, all of a sudden that cute coach on the sideline who's got everybody in motion and nobody knows how to defend it. Suddenly people have started to figure out how to defend it. And now I've got to figure out, can Miami go into Kansas City and beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Yes, they can. And I think they will.
Yeah, and it comes down to their run game, too. That's the issue. If they commit to the run and they realize a lot of what we saw last night was them attacking the edges, getting around the horn with pulling guards, they made hay of what they wanted to do. Now, the issue with them right now, offensively, right, Tua has to be better. Right?
Sure.
Tua has to be the X factor, and he wasn't last night, especially in the second half of that game. You're going against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is at home. Patrick Mahomes is a different quarterback at home, especially this outfit. He's going to have to be the better quarterback, and I don't know if he can.
Yeah, look, it's going to be like 15 degrees in Kansas City, and we'll get into the weather more for that game and the Bills game a little later on in the week. But the point is, it's not going to be 70 degrees.
Yeah.
It's either going to be 47 degrees, which is what they got in Baltimore when they got manhandled by the Ravens. So it's weird now. I think, in a weird way, Greg Jennings, a loss like what they suffered yesterday and the way they played down the stretch in a very strange totally convoluted way can actually be fuel for them because now nobody gives them a shot.
Yep.
Now it's like, oh, you're not going into Arrowhead and beating Patrick Mahomes. I don't care how average the Kansas City Chiefs have been, and I think that can be a rallying cry for them. Now remember, they played each other in Germany. I know it's 3 months ago. But if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I learned a lot in that game. And the first thing I learned in that game was that my defense, and I know different defense, different guys were hurt and not hurt, but my defense in that game in Germany shut the Kansas City Chiefs out in the second half. We were down 21-0 at halftime. Kansas City didn't score again, and we put a couple touchdowns on the board. So I lean on that experience. I know exactly what Kansas City does, and frankly, they don't do anything all that great other than, the quotient of Patrick Mahomes. But I think the kind of everyone's counting us out, us against the world, Kansas City's not the same dominant team they've been for the last decade. I think Miami's got a real good shot of going into Kansas City and pulling out the dub.
Yeah, I think they have a really good shot. They just can't turn the ball over, and that's Tua Tagovailoa. Like the last 2 weeks, he's 4 interceptions. Like that's not who that's not who he has been all season long. That's not the brand of football that you hope to be playing when you're entering into the postseason. Let alone you're going up against the defending Super Bowl champs.
Can I stop you there? These two highlights reek to me, and I'll tell you why. This is called arrogance. This is called Tua saying, I'm just going to throw it up because that's what I do, and my guy's going to make the play. And I don't care if they're double teamed, and I see the safety, and I see the linebacker dropping in coverage. It's almost like, look, I only got one option here. The only option I trust right now is Tyreek Hill. So I'm going to throw caution to the wind. I'm just going to throw it up there and hope my guy makes a play. And when your defense it recognizes, with Waddle not on the field, that Tua sometimes becomes totally reliant on one guy. Yeah. And I get why he's the best wide receiver in football, and he's typically unguardable. But if you're going to double team him with a safety deep, that he's not going to run past because the safety starts 20 yards back, and I know Tua is going to go like this and just throw it up. Well, what's the reality? I've just stopped their offense.
There's something about this offense. I feel like Mike McDaniel stopped this offense, too, with his play calls. And I love Mike McDaniel. He's hilarious. I love his clothes. I think he's the most entertaining coach we have in the NFL. However, when I was watching this game, I'm a pseudo-Bills fan. They could not stop the run. They ran the same play to the right and then to the left over and over and over again in that first quarter, that second quarter. They had the Bills on their heels. In the second half, look at the difference in the play calls.
Yeah.
They completely abandoned the run. It's not like they were down 3 scores either. You know what I mean? It's a one-score game. Look at that. Look at the rushing yards. You had 101 yards in the first half. How do you only have 7 in the second half?
And by the way, it's a great point. If you didn't watch the game last night, the first thing I would ask, obviously I watched it, would be, well, how many touchdowns were the Bills up by? Because obviously Miami went to the pass because they were trailing.
Yep.
They weren't. No, right. It was a commitment not to run the ball in the second half. It's a great point.
Yeah, I think for me it was troubling, too. This is an offense that was averaging 30 points a game, over 400 yards of offense. And now you're talking about this game alone. I said it going into this game. There was one person that had to be different, was McDaniel. Right? I felt like he was the out-coach because all the injuries they walked onto the field with. And by the way, I give the Dolphins defense credit. They held tough, man. You talking about that 1 4th and 1 stop they had to give Dolphins back the ball so they can go down and win the game?
Yep.
Like, you can't ask no more. You talk about all the injuries. This defense was riddled with injuries, and they held strong. So I blame Mike McDaniels for this loss more than anything.
Plus, we always talk about, can your defense create turnovers? And I put a lot of it on Josh Allen more so than what Miami did. But the Dolphins' defense did their job.
Yeah, they did. And I want to continue to highlight what you're talking about, Jacoby, because if you're going to have opportunities to run the ball if you're the Miami Dolphins, because you have Tyreek Hill, you have to use that to your advantage. And to your point, Mike McDaniel did not do that, meaning you're going to have 6-man boxes defensively, which gives you an opportunity to run the football. Sometimes you get in your own way because of what you have been all season long, but you forget what allows you to have success. And that's running the football because of what you are in the passing game with Tyreek and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I like Miami in this game, actually. I haven't bought into Kansas City. I respect them giving everybody rest yesterday. It was a smart thing to do. You had nothing to play for. You locked into the 3 seed. But, the fact is Kansas City has not been right all year. And I think Miami, now with the world against them, counting them out, I think that plays well for them. Obviously, we need an update on Mostert. We need an update on Waddle. If those guys play, my expectation is you're damn right they're playing. I think Miami Dolphins go into Kansas City and actually get the W. I do.
I'm going to tell you the X factor is Patty Mahomes can scramble. We saw last night when Tua ran the naked boot, how much yards he gained on that, how the defense was surprised.
Sure.
Tua's going to have to run the ball. He's going to have to get out of that pocket, tuck the ball. I'm serious. He was scared. He was nervous as hell. He got like 15 yards in that. Patrick Mahomes is going to run around and scramble. Yeah. Tua has to be willing to run the ball in that game.
I've looked that way in a few times when I was younger. The Bronx at midnight ain't fun.
Moving on to our second headline, the Dallas Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb. It was a little close at first, but they ended up beating the Commanders easily to secure the 2 seed. So the question here is this. If they do not make the NFC Championship, is this entire season a failure?
100% yes. Period, stop. This is a team that's the best home team in football for almost 2 full years now. Haven't lost a game, right? 16 straight wins. Average margin of victory is damn near 3 touchdowns. And this is why that 2 seed was so important, right? So that the only time you have to take the show on the road is to San Francisco. Yep. And that's it. And I can tell you now, whether it's Mike McCarthy, whether it's Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, you got 3 of those 4 guys who are up for major contract negotiations, right? Well, the question's going to be, what have you done? And as of right now, collectively, take McCarthy out of it for a moment, or you could include him if you want. They've never gotten to an NFC Championship game. They got the first road win under Dak Prescott's, kind of leadership last year against Tampa, right? Now you're at home. You're the best home team in football. I don't care what Green Bay did to get in. Green Bay's basically a 500 team. They ended the season 9-8. If the Green Bay Packers go into Dallas and somehow, some way beat the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy's gone. I got a question giving Dak Prescott a $200 million bag, and I got a lot of other tough decisions I'm going to have to make. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm trying to think top of my head, if anyone else is in this spot other than the obvious number 1 seeds who by default have to get to their respective championship games, the Dallas Cowboys, it is unacceptable. Yeah. The talent is there, you're at home, and you're playing lesser competition. Go out there and do what you've done all year long and win. Now, you'll get style points. Win. I don't care if you win 21-20. I don't care if you win 30-3.
Right.
The Dallas Cowboys have to get to the NFC Championship games, or you cannot guarantee Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy are coming back.
Yeah. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, naturally, when you go into a season, you hope to be able to write the script the ideal way that you want to write it. Meaning, if we're a really good home team, we want to be able to play at home.
Right.
If we do something very well, we want to be able to lean to that. If we run the ball well, we want to be able to run the ball and go against the team that we run the ball against. The script for the Dallas Cowboys has been set. It is in favor of them. And so for them to be playing at home, where they are at their best, the best team, we talk about it ad nauseum, there can't be any better situation for them to be going into this postseason with Mike McCarthy at the helm, Dak Prescott playing the way that he's playing. Defensively, they create turnovers. All these numbers, what they are at home versus on the road, it is right in front of them. And then if they are to get to this NFC Championship game, you will probably meet the team that you've been chirping about all season long, watching what they've been doing all season long. And so then it would be up to you to finally get over that hump of what you haven't been able to get over the last couple of years. So for me, I'm high on the Dallas Cowboys because they are playing.
Yeah, and I would say this. The worst thing the Cowboys can do is start thinking about San Francisco. I know it's hard not to.
I already think they're thinking about them, Craig.
You can't. Because these other teams don't give a damn. They'll be happy to oblige you and go into Dallas and embarrass you and force Jerry Jones to make a tough decision. The Dallas Cowboys should cruise into the NFC Championship game. I recognize that the second round matchup, it's going to be tougher.
Any one of those 4 teams.
100%. And here's the reality. You're now talking about, not debatably, it's tangible, the most dominant home team, better than San Francisco, better than Baltimore. The best home team in the sport now playing at home. Do your job, and in 3 weeks, we'll go out to San Francisco and see what you do against the Niners.
Yeah, I just don't want Dak to make us a fool, right? Like I believed in him all season, especially I see how he rebounded after the San Francisco loss and pretty much willed himself to be the top 5 quarterback in the league. You're talking about peppering the ball around. The offense is better. They finally believe in him on defense. They back him up. He can lead game-winning drives. There's nothing he can't do right now.
And by the way, all due respect to your Green Bay Packers, it is a great story that Jordan Love, first-year starter, got them over 500, gets them into the playoffs. It's a great story, not a good story, right? They're a 500 team.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys should beat them by 3 touchdowns.
100%.
Like, this game shouldn't be close. And the issue with Dallas is that they don't have that goodwill yet, because it's been so long since they made a run to the NFC Championship game. Dak Prescott in his career only has 2 playoff wins and 4 playoff losses. So people go into this game, and there's always going to be that little teeny bit of a doubt about what the Cowboys are, because it's a new season, it's the postseason, and that's where all their problems have, kind of reared their ugly head. So, again, I think they win the game 30-10, something like that. But they got to do it, and until they do it, there's going to be a lot of nerves down in Dallas.
And what did the Packers do well yesterday? They ran the ball.
Yes,
with
Aaron Jones.
They ran the ball with Aaron Jones. What can you do against the Cowboys, Willie?
Run the ball.
Run the ball.
Yeah.
That's the one matchup I'm looking at.
And by the way, everyone knows that. It's a great point. If I'm Green Bay, let's not get cute. Look, I want to get this game down to a couple possessions. I don't want 3 and outs. I can't afford to have, 50-second drives. I need long, methodical, time-consuming drives. That's the only way to win. If the Cowboys get 15 possessions, they're going to score a lot of points. If the Cowboys have 8 possessions, all of a sudden, now you make it a closer game, and maybe you have a chance to steal it. But you're dead on. 30 carries for Aaron Jones. That'd be bang, 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 bang.
Feed him.
Yeah. Bang,
like
bang,
you last
bang.
night?
No, last night was
Oh, man. Oh, I think I can.
All right, obviously tomorrow, if any more coaches get fired, we'll be all over it. And the latest on Belichick.